Alrighty, it's 4 o'clock on, what's today's date? Thursday, August 8th, 2024, and we have a quorum, just barely, but we do have a quorum. So I will call this library board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So everyone has everyone has a copy in front of them, so Manon made a move for approving. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any additions, edits? April, everything's okay with?
Yes.
All right. Hearing nothing, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Next, approval of the minutes from the July 11th, 2024 board meeting, which are included in the packet. I will make a motion to accept the minutes as printed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, corrections that anybody knows about? All right, hearing none, then all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Now we'll jump right into the financial report. April?
We are 58.2% through 2024, and our budget is approximately 57.98% expended. Some of the bills that we paid during July included $350 to Fisher Pressure Washing to clean the library's garage gutters, $47 to the American Library Association for a webinar titled Dementia Inclusive Services that our reference librarian attended, $170 to the Minnesota Library Association for our annual organizational membership, and $360 to Precision Alarm for our annual alarm monitoring fees. And that's the panic buttons at the library. The library also paid $1,500 to Amazon for a Memory Lab VCR and $600 to Sonnet Tech for a desktop card expansion. So that allows our computer to work with the software that we need for conversion at the Memory Lab.
All right, so nothing out of the ordinary in terms of any other expenditures?
No.
All right. Any other questions for April on the finances?
April, I just have one.
Go ahead.
When listening to that report, there was one line item, it sounded like, that was at 99 or 98% of the budget at this point. That's right, electronic resources. Could you explain a little bit why that is already up?
Yes.
Did we buy something?
That budget line contains two items: our Ancestry Library Edition subscription that we renew annually, as well as our Libby fees that we pay through TDS, and we have paid the full amount of those items for 2024. So there won't be any further expenditures from that line.
Okay, thank you.
Or we shouldn't go over then?
No.
All righty.
I also did want to note that the city's budget work session with the department heads and city council will likely be after the August 20th city council meeting. So I'll hear if there are any questions or concerns about the library's budget as approved by the board in July.
All right, if there's nothing else for the financial report, then we'll move on to the librarian's report, starting with the department activities report and statistics.
Each of you were able to see before the meeting the new library cards that we have 3 new designs that will be available to patrons. Those are the winners from our art design contest. If anyone's curious, those are available to view on our website, or you can also look at the July library board packet. They were included there. Those are available to replace current cards or for new card holders if they would like them. The standard yellow card is also available. And as approved at your last meeting, the $1 replacement fee for those cards is waived through September 30th. Our reference librarian began working to put together a resource list to assist patrons who may be experiencing homelessness. We also received 4 comfort kits that we can distribute to patrons who might be experiencing homelessness and in need of items like toiletries, towels, hand warmers, gloves, and other small items. Those are available at the police department, and they have shared the 4 that we have on hand right now. The Programming and Technology Services Librarian represented the library at the 4th Annual New Ulm Emergency Preparedness Fair, which was part of the New Ulm Night Out. Attendance at the fair has increased each year, and this year there were over 540 people who attended. Myself and our Programming and Technology Services Librarian have been working on our technology purchases for the Memory Lab and the Mobile Memory Lab. And the Programming and Technology Services Librarian has been installing that technology as it arrives. And all of those purchases are funded by the Mellon Foundation grant that we received in March of this year. The water fountains next to the service desk were replaced on Thursday, July 25th. That was an expenditure you had approved at your June meeting, and it seems to have fixed the issues we were having. They're working fine now. And then I am working with the Downtown Action Council. They had, you may have heard about the community collage that was started earlier this year, where they took photos of community members, and they're planning to display the collage downtown. They are looking at a second location in the library, and so what that would look like is likely vinyl banners that can be hung from the picture rails in our hallway outside of the children's room that can be removed if we need that space. Likely it would just come to the library as a long-term but temporary display that could be removed if we need the space, or if they would like to display it elsewhere in the community. So that would be covered under our display policy and permit. So there wouldn't need to be library board action on that. They're still working on the details of the size and dimensions for that collage, so more to come in the future. They're still kind of figuring out the details of how long it will be and if it will be on both sides of that hallway.
So with regard to that, is there going to be any scrutiny or anything for if somebody would find anything on there offensive, or?
It's mostly just portraits of people in the New Ulm community,
Okay.
so I'm not expecting a lot of concern about that.
Okay.
And that will also be available outside downtown. I believe the location they're looking at is on the side of the Thimble Box, but I don't know that that has been set in stone yet.
Okay. The reason I raise it is because I just read some articles in the paper about the graffiti wall, and there's a bunch of hate paintings, that's been going up there, So I just wanted to make sure that that kind of creeped into what we're doing here, and then, or something that somebody might find offensive and have an issue with. Okay.
And then as far as our statistics go, we had 40 people at the History of the Blues at the Grand. I didn't have that number when I sent out the packet. So that made a total of 54 attendees with those who attended the performance at the library. Most of our statistics are up over 2023 with the exception of our website page views. I haven't been exactly able to figure out why those website page views are down, but it's not something I'm overly concerned about because it's just another resource we have available to the public. And our recreation center passes, I just wanted to note that we've had 53 circulations during the 15 weeks that they've been available, and they are out constantly. We have people calling the library to find out when the next one will be coming back, so they're in demand. I checked in with the assistant director of the Park and Rec Department, and it's working smoothly for them as well, so we're excited to continue that service.
April, is there any discussion at this point about increasing the number of those passes, or are we just going to wait, discuss that after a period of time expires, see what we want to do?
When we initially started the program, we had decided to see how the first year went before we decide whether we're going to add more passes. We could certainly explore that earlier if this demand continues.
All right. Any other questions for April on the activity report and statistics?
I just have to comment, I really enjoyed the history of jazz, and when I saw that number, I thought, well, at least there were 5 around my table that were there, so I'm glad there were 40 there. It was really entertaining and informative. And secondly, Mr. Harris's presentations of evaluating the news has been really informative and educational. I really appreciate the effort that he put into it. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then to the summer reading program report.
This year, our summer reading program theme was Adventure Begins at Your Library. It started on June 3rd and ended on July 28th, and we accepted completed reading logs during the week of July 30th through August 5th. Those who finished the program received a grand prize entry ticket, a free book, a temporary tattoo, a sticker, and a vote for the circulation count prize, which we met. That count goal was 25,000, and we were over 27,000 circulation during those 8 weeks. The total attendance for all of the different programs that we offered during the summer reading program for children and teens were 844 people. We handed out a total of 429 reading logs, and 173 were returned as of August 6th, and that is a finishing rate of about 40%, which is pretty good for a summer reading program. We had 90 downtown scavenger hunts completed. And I just want to say a big thank you to the Friends of the Library and the Optimist Club of New Ulm for sponsoring the prizes and the free books.
All right, sounds like another successful program.
Yes, I want to give our Youth Services Librarian, Catherine Tatnall, and our Youth Services aide, Amy Byro, just a huge kudos for all of the work that they've done preparing and running the program. They do a nice job.
All right, well, speaking of program, any other questions on the summer program? If not, then we'll dive into the August programming calendar.
As Lynn mentioned, we have our Evaluating the News program. That continues on Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. at the Community Center through August 29th. You can join for as many sessions as you can, and you can join at any point. You don't have to attend previous sessions to be able to participate. Discussion focuses on sifting out facts, making informed decisions, recognizing bias and opinion, clickbait, and more, and uses real-life timely examples. We also have author Bill Struzinski, who will discuss his memoir, Care Under Fire, on Thursday, August 22nd at 6:30 p.m. He was a combat medic during the Vietnam War, and his memoir has been recognized as the best military nonfiction book of 2021 by the National Indie Excellence Awards. Our children's programs take a break for August, with the exception of the Teen Pathfinder and the Chess Club programs. Those will continue to meet during August.
Yeah, I did notice on the youth programming calendar, it looks kind of empty.
Yes.
Now, is that on purpose because most people go on vacations because summer activities are done and it's right before school starts and...
Yes, it's kind of multiple reasons. We're giving our youth services staff a bit of a breather after all of the activities that they've done during July and a chance to take vacation if they'd like to. And then we do see kind of a dip in circulation and attendance at the library. We're still pretty busy since it's summer, but people are preparing for back to school, trying to get in
Yep.
last minute vacations and things.
All righty. And then the Brown County Library Board update.
The Brown County Library Directors will meet with the Brown County Commissioners on Thursday, August 29th at 11:45 a.m. to make our 2025 appropriations request. That usually lasts it's a 15-minute meeting. The Brown County Library Board recommended requesting an increase of $5,000, which is the increase that we're requesting. And our library board members and the public are invited to attend to show their support of the libraries.
Where is that meeting, April?
At the Brown County Courthouse on the second floor.
All right, any other questions for April on any of the librarians' report stuff? All right, let's get into the action items then. The first action item is to receive and order filed purchase of a microfilm reader. Now, this is we don't have to, this is not an official motion and approval like we normally go through for all our other action items. This is just more of an acknowledgement of the fact that they have purchased and received some items per the $250,000 grant that was awarded by the Mellon Foundation, which we approved of in earlier this year. And April has mentioned to me that we're not going to review every purchase that they make, but basically anything over $2,500, just to bring it to our attention, just to kind of show you, hey, here's what we're spending our money on.
Yeah, and that matches with the city's policy of when we're required to complete a purchase order.
Okay. So the proposed action is to receive and order filed purchase of ViewScan 4 microfilm scanner and external computer assembly from ST Imaging. Is that how it is? Or is it
I think-
Stimaging or
I think it's ST Imaging,
Okay.
but I'm not quite sure.
in the amount of $5,814? An overview of this is the New Ulm Public Library received the Mellon Foundation grant of $250,000 in March of 2024, part of which is to be spent upgrading the library's memory lab technology, including the microfilm reader and PC. The Programming and Technology Services librarian recommended replacing the current microfilm scanner with the ST Imaging ViewScan 4 microfilm scanner and PC. The necessary software is included with the purchase for no extra cost. The IT director recommends purchasing both from ST Imaging for ease of troubleshooting and support. And then under the budgetary fiscal issues, the item was budgeted in the library's Mellon Foundation grant proposal. The current Memory Lab scanner will be surplused, and the cost of the microfilm scanner and PC is as follows. The ViewScan 4 microfilm scanner came in at $5,695. The ViewScan 4 external computer assembly came in at $1,145. The Perfect View standard software was free, and then I'm assuming by buying both, you got a sales discount of $1,026. So the net total was $5,814. So what I'll do is I'll just have Dustin call the roll, and we'll just go around and say that we acknowledge the receipt of this. So Dustin?
Dustin, yes. Vince?
Yes.
Manon?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And we'll probably be seeing more of these as we go through the year.
Most of the technology that we're purchasing will probably come in under that amount, but there
Okay.
may be just a couple larger items.
As a quick follow-up, do any of these pieces of equipment require assembly, or is Leroy able to attach all the wires to the right places, or does somebody come from the company where you're purchasing that from to help set them up?
ST Imaging sent us information about installation and downloading software, and they sent some videos, and then we have some troubleshooting help included in our purchase of it. It's actually very similar to the microfilm scanner that we have. We have the ViewScan 2, I think. And so it's not going to be much different to run this as far as operation goes for viewing microfilm, which is part of the reason we wanted to purchase this model. And the reason we had to get a new microfilm reader is because the ViewScan 2 is not compatible with the most updated versions of the software. And so in order to update the computer and the software, we needed to also update the scanner.
Is there anything else on the want list that you can see spending this money on pretty recently or soon?
I would have to go back and look at the list of items that we plan to purchase as far as technology goes. Probably the other bigger ticket items that you will see is when we get into purchasing like the study pods and the charging stations that we had also included in our grant proposal. I think most of the other technology is going to come in under this price point.
No, even for the lower cost stuff, all this stuff has to go through the purchase order system then, or?
Only if it's $2,500 or more.
Oh,
for the
okay.
purchase, yeah.
All right, any other questions on that? All right, then let's move on to a resolution number 2024-23, accepting Friends of the Library donation. This is the first reading and adoption. During August 2024, the Friends of the New Ulm Public Library made 2 donations totaling $4,700 to New Ulm Public Library. The Friends donated $3,500 to offer performances from comedians Vien Fomachan and Kyle Yamada in January 2025 at the State Street Theater. Vien Fomachan is a Laotian doctor who is also a comedian. He has performed in comedy shows and festivals all over the world. Kyle Yamada, his opening act, is a Minnesota comedian who tours across the country and has opened for Saturday Night Live comedian Chris Kattan. The Friends donation will cover performance fees, travel costs, and event site costs. The Friends also donated $1,200 to help cover conference, lodging, and travel fees so that the library staff may attend the 2024 Minnesota Library Association Conference. Reference and Youth Library Service Librarians will be attending that, and the 2024 American Library Association Core Forum Conference. The library director will be attending that. This donation will help supplement the library's budgeted funds for continuing education. The library board of the New Ulm Public Library accepts these donations with gratitude to the Friends of the New Ulm Public Library. So I will entertain a motion to accept the 2 donations totaling $4,700 from the Friends of the Library.
So move.
I'll second.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, issues?
I would just also note that the Youth Services Librarian and the Reference Librarian have both applied for a $600 honorarium each from the Traverse de Sioux Regional Library and have been approved for those. I was not eligible since I had used one to attend the ALA conference in July.
So what is that? That they,
TDS will cover $600
Oh,
of the cost
okay.
for each of them. For the
so that'll be in
conference.
addition to the $1,200 then for?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Will that cover the total cost of everything then, or pretty close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we, the sites for each of these conferences, they book a block of rooms at a conference rate, and so I was able to estimate those costs,
Good.
and then using the IRS per diem and mileage costs.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, then Dustin will call the roll.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right. Now the next resolution, 2024-24, approving updated library card application. This is the first reading and adoption. In July 2024, Traverse de Sioux Regional Library began using text messaging services called MessageBee to send text message notifications to library patrons. Previously, text message notifications were sent via email, which meant that the patrons had to give their phone service provider, I'm assuming cell phone service provider, in order to receive text message notifications. This is no longer a requirement. The library director recommends that the library board approve the draft library card application, which removes the field for phone carrier and groups all of the patron contact information together. Updates to the New Ulm Public Library's library card application are usually presented as part of the updates to the library's circulation policy. However, the library director is not recommending any changes to the policy at this time. Both the current and draft library card applications are attached. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to read through them. And I took a look at them, and yeah, it's just consolidated. It removed that one line for the phone carrier information, and then it grouped all the contact information, moved the address up with the name, but all the other information looked to be the same. So I will entertain a motion then to approve the updated library card application.
I'll so move.
Second? Okay, we have a couple second, we have, any further discussion or questions? All right, hearing none, then Dustin will call the roll.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes?
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Now we've got resolution number 2024-25, updating the, approving the updated lost and found policy. This is the first reading only. The library director recommends that the library board adopt the updated lost and found policy to indicate that lost and found items may be stored in the library's staff room in addition to the library director's office and the library's safe. This will improve the library staff ability to assist patrons when the library director is not available to open the office. This policy was last updated in April 2024, and the attached policy draft shows the proposed changes in red. So the next month will be when we have the second reading and adoption of this. But in looking at it, we had just reviewed the, or updated the policy here in April, so should be all pretty familiar with it. And there was only that one change in red, which is indicating that it's be locked up in the staff's office, so they would have access to it. So more to come on that next month. And resolution 2024-26 is also a first reading. This is approving the collection development policy. The library director recommends that the library board adopt a new draft collection development policy. The existing policy was last updated in 2002. The library director has rewritten the policy to be current with the best practices and the new Minnesota Statute 134.51. Access to library materials and rights protected. Both the existing and draft collection development policies are attached. The city attorney has reviewed both policies and suggests no changes to the new draft policy. So I'm going to waive the reading of those. They're pretty lengthy. But I will urge the board members, if you haven't already done so, to please read through both documents, the current one and the draft, and to be ready for the second reading and adoption next month. And then the last item is the resolution number 2024-27, approving the reconsideration of library resource or material policy. Again, this is the first reading as well. The library director recommends that the library board adopt a new draft reconsideration of library resources or material policy. The existing policy was last updated in 2008. The library director has rewritten the policy to be current with best practices and the new Minnesota Statute 134.51, access to library materials and rights protected. Both the existing and draft reconsideration of library resources or material policies are attached. The city attorney has reviewed both policies and suggested no changes to the new draft policy. Again, the same thing of this one. They're both pretty lengthy, but I urge the board to read them in preparation for next month's second reading and adoption.
I just would note that both of these policies are, the current policies are in compliance with the new statute, but the new versions of the policies point to that language more clearly, that the statute's language more clearly for the public.
It looks
Yeah.
like a major overhaul. It's a
I was
lot
gonna
of
say that
work.
2002 and 2008, I mean, it's time to get an update,
Yeah.
so.
Could you summarize chapter 134.51 as the piece of legislation that causing us to do some of these updates?
Yes, so the statute is titled Access to Library Materials and Rights Protected. And the first subdivision of that is book banning is prohibited. And so it states that a public library must not ban, remove, or otherwise restrict access to a book or other material based solely on its viewpoint or the messages, ideas, or opinions it conveys. And so it goes through and gives definitions for public libraries and the governing bodies of them. But really what it does is protects libraries from requests to limit access to materials based on viewpoints, messages, ideas, or opinions. And then it also more strongly points to the expertise of library staff in making decisions about the materials that are in the collections.
All right, any other questions in that regard? Well, more to come on that next month.
I can certainly put a link to that in either the policy itself or the resolution, so that would be available for you for next month if you would like to refer to it.
That might be a good idea.
Okay.
All right, any other business?
Do we have an old business opportunity here?
Okay.
If I missed it, I apologize, but have we had an update recently on where we stand with the replacement of those doors into the library?
I continue to try to get responses from vendors and have not been very successful. I have had responses from Nosbush and from Fairmont Glass, I believe is the other company, and continue to just have, you're on our list to come do a quote. They've not been able to fit us in. So for Fairmont Glass, I think that means probably if they're doing work in the areas when they would come to look at that. But I am expecting if I can get a quote on that at some point, that I may not be able to get a second one, just based on the responses I've received.
Are there providers or vendors that are outside the city, obviously, that you've looked at if you've gone to Fairmont? But there are a couple in Mankato. Have those been?
I've reached out to some in Mankato and had either no response or indications that they don't do the type of work that's needed here at the library. Also reached out to St. Peter Glass and had a similar response to the Fairmont and Nosbush.
It sounds like they're all pretty busy. I know at our church, we had the doors replaced, and it took months for them to get around to it. And that's only after they had, come out and done that. I don't know how much time was spent, like you're waiting, you're on the waiting list, basically, for them to come out and even look at it and then offer you a quote, and then, how much time after that before they get the materials in and can install it, so.
Our maintenance technician has, he took a piece of the latch and had a replacement welded. And so that seems to be holding for now, but we still need to replace those doors. They're past their prime.
Yeah.
Is that an issue for winter where we're gonna get a lot of heat loss through those doors, or that's a big issue with?
I don't anticipate that being a huge issue, mainly because there is another set of doors in that entrance which blocks some of that from escaping, and those doors are fine.
What are we looking at as far as the price? Do you have a
I am not sure.
about figure or?
I would, based on conversations I've had, I think we could be looking at anywhere between like $20,000 and $40,000. I'm really not sure. It depends on the amount of work that needs to be done. Those doors are not considered the library's primary entrance, even though they are the doors that most people use. But they're not the primary entrance because they're not measured. They don't meet the 36 inches for being handicap accessible. So the other entrance on that side of the building in the children's hallway is the primary entrance because that one is technically accessible. And so when we look at those quotes, we'll be looking at two things, whether it's financially feasible for us to change the configuration of that entrance, or if we just need to replace it as is. I talked with the city's building official, and we do not have to have a second entrance that is accessible because we have the one on the parking lot, and that entrance is next to the handicap spaces on that side. And where the curb cut is for getting on the sidewalk.
Anything else? Any other business then? All right, then we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.